express penalty, a system that has been introduced, to a new mechanism that has been put in place by Uganda Police, that is to curb the violations, the road violations, and we shall be getting to know its impact. And of course, I know there are questions that come into your mind, that is to do with the verification of those particular tickets that are to be given out, and the criticisms that come with it, the challenges, that is to do with the fight against the allegations that come through to do with corruption, bribery of some officers, and maybe more awareness when it comes to the public and how you're able to pay for these particular tickets or the fines that have been put in place by the road users. My name is Sandra once again, but to give you more insight on the realities as far as that new mechanism is concerned, I am having experts and joining me on set. I am having Susan Kataike, she's next to me, the Principal Communication Officer, Ministry of Works and Transport. And next to Susan, I am having SP Michael Kananura, the CLO, Directorate of Traffic and Road Safety. They're going to be giving us more of that particular conversation as we start right about now. Susan, you're most welcome. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having us.
Good to have your company.
It's great to be here.
I love your smile. Getting to Mr. Kananura, how is your evening?
Yeah, good evening. I'm glad to be here this evening, and to our viewers out there, a good evening.
Mm-hmm. Now, as we start our conversation, I'll start with the lady next to me. And it's gender balance. That's what I love about my panel this evening. Just getting for the viewer to get to understand what EPS is all about.
EPS is the express penalty system. Before we had the express penalty scheme. That's what it was. But now we have an express penalty system. Mm-hmm. Now, when you look at the express penalty system, it's not that it's something new. It's something that has been around. But the level that we have gone to is automation. So the fines or the system is still playing its role, but it's just that there's been an upgrade in this system. And now there are two violations that have been put to automation. And that is speeding and running the red light. Otherwise, express penalty system, express penalty scheme is something that has been around with us, but Uganda is not being left behind with the digitization that is going on in the world. Uganda is also following suit, and we are getting on to the digital bandwagon. Yes.
So basically, how is it going to function for the road users out there? Is it, because I believe there are changes away from the fact that it's been in place as a scheme. Yes, now that it is automated, how is it going to function?
Yes, there are a few changes, but the violations are quite many. You have about 36 violations. I think police has about 36.
36.
Yeah,
36 violations.
But for a start, it's speeding and running the red light that are being automated. And the two systems, actually it's one system, but they will run concurrently. The other one is analog, I call it analog, and these two are the automated ones. However, as we move forward, this project is a 10-year project. It's under the Intelligent Transport Monitoring System. Now, as a way of background, this is not something that is being done in isolation. The automation is part of the Intelligent Transport Monitoring System. Now, how did this come into being? After government looking at the safety and security of Ugandans, you remember some time back there were so many deaths that were happening within the country, and these were being caused by people who were on borders. They would kill people and they would disappear. Now, government realized that actually there were so many borders that were not registered, because police would try to follow up and reach a dead end. Why? Because most motorcycles come into the country in spare part form. Then they are built up and they create a motorcycle. It does not come as a full unit. It's just assembled here. And the other aspect is that if the three of us bought borders, maybe they become obsolete. People will pick spare parts from these different borders and build one. So it would become difficult for Afande Kananura to really know who is the owner of this border, where it's from. So government decided to overhaul the entire motor vehicle registration system. This project looks at the number plates. That's why you have the digital number plates. So government is creating a data bank of all vehicles. Started with the government vehicles, registration of government vehicles with the new digital plates. Moved to private vehicles and motorcycles, the new ones coming into the country. And now where we are going is to get voluntary compliance for those who already have vehicles and motorcycles to get the digital plates. So it's an entire, it's a complete project that has different components. So it's a digitized kind of system. It works with the number plates. It will work with the cameras and the lights. So that is where we are heading. And now we are on that phase. While we are still issuing the number plates, we've now moved to Afande Kananura's side, where the cameras are now being integrated. The service provider has brought in superior cameras, which are being integrated with his cameras, or with the Uganda police cameras, with the Uganda police cameras, and of course with the automation of FIS, or with the express penalty system. Now, all these cameras, that police already has within the country, are being calibrated such that they can work together with the new cameras. So that is a mouthful on what ITMS is all about and how EPS is now being automated. So that's where we are right now.
Wow, great job. Well done.
Thank you.
It's really great work. Maybe just Afande could be having a supplement towards what Susan has mentioned, and that is to do with even speeding. Just letting us know how the speeding itself has caused most of the road accidents that we've been witnessing recently.
Yeah, thank you. When you actually get back to our report that was out, the annual crime police report of 2024 last year, realized that most of the crashes were due to speeding. Actually, it was speeding and then careless overtaking. But every time we talk of careless overtaking, we cannot now leave out speeding. Because we find that in most cases, people who are trying to overtake, for example, in busy places where the speed limit is 50 kilometers per hour or 30 as as per new regulations. So we find whoever overtakes in such places is violating the speed limits of that place. Also situations where, because when you talk of unsafe overtaking or careless overtaking, that's what we mean. There are very many vehicles ahead of them, but then you find them still wanting to overtake. So in one way or another, they are violating speed. So speed now stands out to be the major cause of the crashes. And in that report, it was further seen that 44.5% of those total crashes were due to speeding and careless overtaking. So you really notice that speeding now stands out and remains a problem. So as traffic police, of course, we try our best. We have the speed guns that we have been using, but then the challenges that we also find in using these speed guns is that you can only capture one vehicle at a time. And yet there are many vehicles violating, because that's what happens when we're in the field. There are like 3 or 4 vehicles violating, but when you put there your speed gun, you can only capture one vehicle. Then by the time you stop it, sometimes they even refuse to stop. They take off. So those are the challenges. And then, of course, too, you also find that we are also not in many points on the road. For example, if a highway from Kampala to Gulu, you find like maybe 4 or 5 points that are checking for speed.
So those particular challenges that you're citing out also refer to the officers in far areas away from Kampala, the metropolitan center? Are they the same when it comes to the use of the tools that you have in place? Now you talk about the The gadgets
the
that you...
speed guns.
The speed guns.
Because that's what we have been using, putting aside the auto that has come. And I'm trying now to put to you the challenges that we have been finding in using that. We can only get to few places, few points, and what do we always see on the roads that these motorists, they get to know. They mark these points, they know at this point, and the officers are there, and so they're checking us. So when they're getting there, they reduce the speeds, and they are the most humble and the most disciplined motorists on the road. They even get there to give to our officers.
They're the first ones to salute you.
Then they get out of their sight, sight of the traffic officers. Again, they start now doing what?
Overspeeding.
Exactly. So, and of course now you can't know, you cannot tell, and that's where now they get problems from. It's where they will crash from because no one is there. In the night where traffic officers are not there, problems. And I want to say that every time I would interface with the communities and they ask me, you people, where do you find challenges, or how do you think you can get out of these? Because crashes have become crashes. Even when you look at it this week, that we have a lot of issues. And due to speeding, by the way, if you try to check most of them. And then I've always told people that not until when we automate the enforcement, then we are doing nothing. We have few traffic officers compared to the vehicles that we have on the roads. So really, the automation of these tickets will save the situation and help us.
Okay, maybe just getting to the issue of the amendment that came through when it came to the Traffic and Safety Regulation Act in 2023. Can you take us through some of the provisions that were included in the Act that are now in operation? Can Susan comment on that?
Of course, when you look, there are different provisions within the Act. Now we have of course the express penalty system in there. We have the regulations on, we have on seat belts, we have on speed limits. Within the amendments, we have speed limits, we have the express penalties, then we also have the what we normally call the car seats for children. And you know what happens with these child restraints? We look at ourselves as corporates, and we put ourselves in a certain class most cases, and we do the wrong thing. Parents buy these child restraints and put them at the front. You're moving with your child, but you've put the restraint in the front. That restraint is supposed to be at the back. You're not supposed to sit with your child at the front, because there are those who have been having these car seats, but they would put them at the front. So one is that if you have a child, that child should be in a car seat. Any child that is 5 years and below should be in a car seat.
And at the back.
And they should be at the back.
At the back.
And two, it's a must actually to have a child restraint. You've seen where parents actually drive with their children on their laps. You're driving and you're carrying a child. You're risking the life of that child. Just imagine that you suddenly brake. Do you know what is going to happen? Either that child is going to fall this side and hit the gear lever, or they might fly out on impact, hit the windshield, and end up outside on the road.
Jesus.
So that's why you shouldn't have your child at the front on your laps. They should be at the back in the car seat, and it should be fastened. So that is one of the new regulations. Then two, we also have the one for helmets. Now, if you've also noticed, when police started enforcement for these helmets, you saw people buying their own helmets. Borders also, some of them tried to have two, at least one, or some
at least one.
Some all bought two helmets. So what they would do is that they would wear these helmets when they are approaching
the police
officers. Or I tell my passenger, put on your helmet, because we are approaching police. Now, according to Ministry of Health, of course, even police itself, when these people get into an accident, the first thing that will fly off is that helmet. And remember, the role of that helmet is to protect your head, such that in case you crash on the tarmac, your head will be protected.
So now,
in the new regulations, you will not only have a helmet, but it should also be fastened. You should tie it such that when you crash, at least your head will remain protected. So those are some of the provisions within the Act. And so it's important that people realize that everything that is being done is to protect us as Ugandans. When you look at the statistics that Mr. Kananura was talking about, the people that are suffering the most in these accidents are the vulnerable people, and these are like 60% of the road users. These are people who are in these buses. If you look at that bus that burnt in Njero, I don't know how many people died in that bus.
Actually, it is 4.
Four people died. Now, when you look at that bus and what happened, the passengers had they were not in the wrong. It was the driver. Whatever happened, whether the bus maybe had mechanical issues, whatever it was, they were not in control of that vehicle. They were not in control of that bus. When you find border borders, a taxi may be moving and it hits the border border. This border border is carrying a passenger. So you find that these two people will be killed. A border border is not shielded like somebody who is in a car. So when you hit them, you're hitting actually
it's the
body.
It's the body
you're
that
hitting
is working.
Exactly.
Working as a shield.
Yes. So you find that then the pedestrians that are on the road. So the new law, these regulations, what government is doing is to protect the 60%, the most vulnerable people who are not in charge of these vehicles that are dying on the roads.
The passengers, the young
children. I recently, my mother lost a worker, but that worker had a child going to school in the morning, and he received a phone call. A taxi had hit the child. So he left home. He was called urgently. He left and went back to his place. He found the child's legs, both of them were broken.
Jesus.
Now, after the breaking, of course, they tried to treat the child, but I think after a week they had to amputate. Now, this is somebody who has been the breadwinner. He has lost his job to go and take care of his child. His child will never walk again. That family will never be the same. So it's not only the child that has been affected. The father has lost a job. The entire family is going to become unstable because the breadwinner is not working anymore. He has to stay home. And this is a young family. So these are the challenges that government is looking at. People don't realize that actually government has a right to protect you. So everything that government is doing right now regarding this policy, this regulation, this law, is to protect us as Ugandans, to make us realize, to have that deep conversation within ourselves, whether we should actually keep on driving.
Okay, in drafting the regulations that you've been putting in place when it comes to the Act, did a Minister of Works maybe consult with stakeholders, maybe doing enough research? One would wonder and ask themselves if they really reached out to them.
Yeah, government, it's a government policy, and not to...
A right to protect.
No, other than the right to protect.
Away from the right to protect.
You cannot come up with a law, a regulation without consultation. You know that in government, stakeholder engagements are very important. So there were engagements with the Ministry of Justice, with UNBS, with the transporters of different categories. So we did consult with the different categories of our stakeholders. But of course, we've been having engagements with the taxi body, with the border riders, different transporters. Now the challenge is that people forget is that they have leaders. So when you're doing these stakeholder engagements as government, you're not going to invite the entire border industry, the entire bus industry, the entire taxi industry. They are leaders that represent them. That is why government always calls for organization, association, such that it's easy to deal with you as an industry. So yes, government has done consultations. Yes, please.
Well, I'll move to Afande. In case you have anything to add on, to chip into what Susan has been letting us know and understand. And maybe also getting back to the challenges that you talked about and how letting the viewer get to understand how this EPS is going to really help out with the speed limit itself and help you enforce law.
Yeah, thank you. Susan put it clearly, and they told you that when you look at these people who are dying on our roads, there are people who are not in control of the vehicles. Because these are the passengers either on motorcycles, vehicles, and pedestrians who are dying mostly actually, who contribute to 60% of the total fatalities according to our reports. So really we need to come out and see how best to protect these people. I know some of these things may not be easy to people out there, especially those who violate. This I have to tell you. Those ones who are accustomed to speeding, for them they're like, now here they have finished us. But look here, we have to make sure that lives of people are protected. So I told you that we would have always found challenges in implementing or using the resources that we had. The officers being little, that we cannot be everywhere. And of course, every time you come out to talk of a crash, people are questioning here and there. And then they don't look at some of these challenges that we have, that we cannot be in all places. And if you remember very well, I've always told people that look here. Road safety is a collective responsibility. But then people neglect their role. They don't do what they're supposed to be doing. For example, if you find a vehicle that is full, why should you sit there? If a vehicle is speeding, really you can speak out. Why don't you call the numbers that we all share and tell us of such a problems? And people see these things. They may tell you, when we come across the victims or the survivors in these crashes, they will tell you and say, it was even by God's grace that we got to this point. Otherwise, for us, we had noticed all of this. The man was driving recklessly. The man was overtaking anyhow. So all this continue because also people have refused to do their work as the passengers, or so they think it is only maybe the government or the police or the ministry to do this, which really cannot help us out. So the automation of the system now really comes out to help us, because these are cameras at any points that we may all not know, but you just get to know that you are somewhere violating, it is taking you what? So when you also get to situations like that these people would come and then they are violated, the traffic officer stop them, and somehow they also compromised, all those issues, you know, that you have always raised to us, and say, we think problems are here because of corruption. So now we want to see where corruption is going to come from. When they come, will you bribe the cameras? I don't think so. And many other issues, by the way, not only the exchange of money, but even making phone calls to call Kananda because you know him. You know, people sometimes are not even ashamed. They will even call you and say, hello, I'm going to start my journey, but just get to know that my permit is expired. But in case I call you, I'm telling you.
They alert you before the journey.
So
which kind of advice at the end of the day are you going to give such a person?
So me, when such systems now start coming in, it's my joy. Exactly. I know, I'm sure no one will now start calling me that I'm going to.
I can assure you they will definitely call you.
And say, so all you have to do is just know that I have to obey and really understand and know what I'm supposed to do. So when this now, the regulation, you talked of the regulation of speed itself, now here we're looking at, of course, changes in some speed limits in some points. For example, we are looking at 30 kilometers per hour in places congested with the human traffic. Exactly. And then we're also looking at driving not exceeding 90 kilometers per hour. You know, it used to be 100. So to operationalize this regulation for us now to, you know, remember when it was passed by the parliament, they told us that when a person is convicted and has been found driving beyond the prescribed limit, speed limit, the fine is not more than 2 million, or imprisonment of 3 years, or both. But then it was challenging to us to put into our tickets, these tickets of ours on the road, that then you get a ticket, go and pay instead of taking you to court. So this has been worked on by the ministry, and it is now where we see fines now, and where we are saying that when someone violates below, in between 1 kilometer in excess of the speed that is required on the road, you violate in between from 1 kilometer to 30 kilometers per hour. That is 200,000 shillings. So when you violate and exceed 30 kilometers per hour plus, now it becomes 600,000 shillings. So that's what also people need to know, that that has been worked on and it is now clear. So if you drive, and for you, if for example, we are talking of 90 kilometers or 30 kilometers per hour, and you drive in excess of 1 to 30, that is 31 up to 60, your ticket is 200,000 shillings.
Okay.
Then if you go beyond 60, 61, 62, up to and onwards,
To 240.
One
yes,
person.
people drive that speed. So now for you, it means that your ticket
One
is
person.
What
measures are yet to be put in place, honestly speaking, for the motorists to comply when it comes to the e-ticket? Now that you talk about such penalties. Okay.
Of course, the measures are already there. How? When the camera finds you, or after the camera, you've gone through the process of the camera,
I'm looking at the
identifying, verifying, and everything. Mr. Kananura and his colleagues will send you the message. And that message will come on your phone. It will alert you that you have violated, either you've run the red light, you've run speed according to how he has tiered it, the different levels
The
of
different
speeding
pricing.
and the different
The
pricing.
kilometers.
Because you see, even different roads and different road sections have different speeds. So depending on where the camera will be, where you'll be driving, the camera will be able to know the speed for that place and the level at which the speed limit which you've broken. So you will be able to receive a ticket. You'll get a message, a notification on your phone, and then the detailed ticket will come to you.
Of the kilometers and how you've violated?
Yes. Now the detailed ticket
detail.
it will give you the location where the picture of your vehicle, such that you really can't say it's not me.
It is
You-
not me.
Yes, you can't deny that you are the one in that area. So it will give
And
you
the
the
time
details.
allowance?
And the time within 3 days, that is 72
72 hours.
hours. So it has moved. People have to also realize it has moved from the 28 days that they were given before in the old law. Now it is 72 hours or 3 days from the time you receive the message on your phone. That is from that time. That is when you should pay. And if you don't pay within that time, then there is a surcharge of 50%. Now, people are complaining that this is not fair. It is, but as Mr. Kananura has also explained, it is the people who violate that are actually complaining.
They're the ones that call him at hand.
Yes, those they are the ones complaining.
That's
But
the
you
job.
know, we have so many people who are also very happy with this regulation, with this law. They are saying at least there is going to be sanity on our
Yes.
roads. So we need to look at this as Uganda trying
And the
to
system
build.
is all transparent.
The system is transparent. It's transparent. You know, of course, behind the system, there are men in uniform, but there are also ways of identifying in case they have
Violated.
there are some tricks they are playing, because they will also be audited. So people need to be comfortable that these men and women in uniform who will be behind this system, of course working with a contractor who is a joint stock company, Global Security, they will be an audit. So there is no way he can just cancel my ticket because I'm his friend. No, he will be asked
I'm
why
telling
was
you,
this
I'm like,
one's
Afande,
ticket.
please save the
No,
day.
as Afande will not save the day anymore. You will have to be a responsible citizen and drive safely on the road, putting into consideration other road users. Yes.
Wow. Good to know that you're following this particular conversation, my dear viewer who is watching the National Broadcaster. I was still coming to you live from Broadcast House. My name is Sandra, but before we take a break, I just start getting the viewer to understand what we're talking about. That is the express penalty system is what we're talking about, and how the road users are supposed to behave and be disciplined to curb the violations that have been ongoing. And Susan has put it clearly, those challenges that have been aired out, the allegations of corruption and bribery will not be there anymore. At least we're here creating and giving you that particular awareness. I will settle for a break. When we return, I'll still have Afande Kananura with us in studio, as well as Susan Kataike from the Ministry of Works and Transport. Keep watching.
Okay.
With every piece telling a story of royal excellence, our products are built with the highest quality materials made to last. Experience royalty with Royal Foam Furniture, proudly made in Uganda, so buy Uganda and build Uganda. Visit our showrooms at Ginger Road, Chambogo Junction, Bukota Chisasi Road, and on Victoria Mall, Entebbe, on the first floor.
The Uganda People's Defense Forces invites the general public to the first ever UPDF CDF Inter-Forces Drill Competition as we honor the spirit of unity, discipline and teamwork. This historic competition will feature individual and team drill routines, synchronization and formation changes, an inter-service championship and many more exciting activities and prizes to be won. Come, witness the pinnacle of drill artistry. Who will be the overall champion? The first edition of the UPDF CDF Inter-Forces Drill Competition will take place on the 13th of May at the Kololo Ceremonial Grounds in Kampala. The guest of honor will be the Chief of the Defense Forces, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, alongside other high-profile guests. Long live the Uganda People's Defense Forces. For more details, please call 0392 947455.
Hey, Okero. Hey, Kajambo. Mukasa. Where are you going with the family? Eh? Oh no. Hey. We are on our way to the polling station. The Electoral Commission is displaying the National Voters Register. And I need to make sure my name is on it. Oh. And Sophie here wants to confirm her voter details. We are all warming up for elections. Okay. What about these young men? I can see you. These ones are no longer boys. They are now men. Last election, they were too young to vote. But now, they are ready to vote. Mukasa, you have really inspired me. Now let me also go home and pick my wife so that we can check the details in the register. Okay. See you on the polling station.
The National Voters Register will be displayed at your polling station from 25th April to 15th May 2025. Please do not miss this chance to confirm your polling station and your voter details. Report the dead for removal from the register and those who appear more than once. Every vote matters. This message is brought to you by the Electoral Commission of Uganda.
I'd like to thank all our clients, our valued taxpayers, the people that we serve as we collect revenue for building our nation. I thank you very much for the questions you have sent through this program of Buza Commissioner. On behalf of URA, I would like to pledge that we are committed and we will continue to answer all the questions that you ask through this platform. The whole purpose for this program is to ensure that your pain points, your questions are efficiently responded to. So I would like to encourage all our taxpayers who have questions to ask to please utilize this program that we are running on UBC, that will be receiving your questions through the numbers that you've been given, and URA will be available to answer these questions every Monday and every Wednesday during the 8 o'clock news bulletin. And then on Sunday, after the news, we'll have a full response to all the questions that will have come in during the week. I thank UBC for supporting us in reaching our taxpayers, and I thank our taxpayers for responding positively to this program. Thank you very much.
Buza Commissioner.
Coming to you live from Broadcast House. My name is Sandra. If you just joined us, I'm having experts. I'm having Susan Kataike from Ministry of Works and Transport. She is the Principal Communication Officer. And I'm also having Afande Kananura Michael, the Directorate of Traffic and Road Safety. He's the CLO. Now, they're giving us more insight to do with the EPS, that is the express penalty system that has been put in place, and its impact, the challenges that come through with it, and how disciplined the motorists expected to carry on when they're using the roads that we have in our nation, Uganda. And right now, I want to get to know and understand why this digitization of the fines coming through when it comes to curbing the violations of the road users. How come it's coming right about now? Like, why now?
Well, of course, as Afande Kananura has already shared, when you look at the past 10 years, the fatalities that have occurred are at a point of 80.8%. Those are the crashes on our roads in the past 10 years. So there've been regulations, there've been laws. We have done so many different things, but it seems like Ugandans are not changing. And of course, people will say that, some will say, as we sensitize, as we have these conversations, some of the issues that people are raising is that the roads in the country are bad, and they are partly the cause of these road accidents. But when you look at most of these accidents where they are happening, the roads are actually very good. We have where individuals, communities write to the minister to request for what is commonly known as humps on the roads, or rumble strips, to reduce on the speed. Why? Because in these areas, because vehicles are speeding, they are killing so many people. So it's not really so much about the roads being bad, but it's about how we drive on these roads. And as Afande explained, the main causes are speeding, careless overtaking. There is also
following too closely,
then also drunk driving, among the others. Those are some of the key. So it's not just, but now is because of the situation. The situation is alarming. And as we said earlier, that the country has a role to protect its citizens. And that is why the project, the ITMS project, came into place to protect. Now, the amendments of these regulations are to help the operationalization of the ITMS system. There are certain things that you can't do with the ITMS system, unless you do all these amendments within the laws, come up with all these different regulations to enable the system to do its job, and that is to protect. When you look at the way things stand right now, people who have traveled in other countries, I've actually heard stories that people who have gone to work in the middle, they go to Dubai, to Abu Dhabi, many of them go as drivers. They've trained here very well as drivers, but when they reach there, they fail. All their money, because their systems, the other side, are automated, people end up coming back when they have no money, and they abandon driving. Why? Because they are used to the bad manners that they do on our roads. They're indiscipline. Now, when they go the other side, because the system is automated, the other side, organized. The tickets, remember, they go to your employer. The tickets keep on going to employer. So you go to get your salary at the end of the month, you're actually in arrears because of the tickets that you have, because of the tickets. So that is just to show you
that most of us on our roads are indisciplined. We have taken a lay-back position when it comes to road safety. And we forget that road safety is a shared responsibility. Just like you take care of your health to go for checkups and do all these sorts of things, that is how you should be concerned about your health on the road, regardless of the nature of the road. And yet still, government is improving roads. As we've said, when you look at Kampala right now, I remember I think 2 years ago, when Kasiate was still the spokesperson of KCC, I remember him making a statement that for the next 3-4 years, Kampala is going to be a construction zone. And I think most people didn't understand what he was saying. But right now, when you look at Kampala, it's a construction zone because government is trying to improve infrastructure within the city. And government is also putting a lot of money in infrastructure throughout the country. If you look at the different, we are commissioning groundbreaking projects every other time. Why? Because government has decided to invest in road infrastructure. So infrastructure is improving, vehicles are increasing, and some people say all these accidents are due to the increase in motor vehicles. But motor vehicles are increasing, but they are driven by human beings. So it is about us changing our behavior on the road. When they say 30 kilometers per hour within this zone, haven't you found at a zebra crossing in front of a school but a child has been knocked?
I know. It
At
happens.
a zebra crossing.
Yeah, it does.
In front of a school. Why? Because somebody is so careless for them, they believe they have to get somewhere on time, or they are delayed.
They're careless, whether they're passing by a school or something like that.
So these are just small things that we can all choose to have that conversation within ourselves and change, Today where we are with the automation, if you're coming from Ginger Road and you run the lights at Nakawa, you come and run the lights at Lugogo, come and run the lights at Kitgum House, run the lights here in the city center. Afande, how many tickets do I have?
About 4 tickets.
4 tickets now.
And that is how much?
That is 400,000.
You can imagine.
4 tickets,
I'm
400,000.
running in the morning to come to work. But by the time I get to office, those violations I've already, on my account, there is already 400,000 that I have to pay. Now, if I am a repetitive offender or violator, in a month, how much money am I going to pay?
And on the other hand, being selfish, yet others are also using the roads.
Exactly. So government is in a way, you asked why now. Government is in a way making it become a bad taste in your mouth to violate, isn't it, Afande? It should bring a bad taste in your mouth.
So the digitization is to bring a bad taste.
Reach a point where you say, but really, do I have to do this?
Yet you are a citizen.
Yet I am a citizen. I am a contributor to the growth and development of my country. I have a reason why I'm here. I have to make a contribution. My family is looking up to me. Because a family will lose, as I said, you lose a husband, you lose a father, you lose a child, you lose a breadwinner. The country loses a lot. Not only you paying taxes, but your contributions to the nation in terms of ideas, skills. So that's why the government has a right to...
It's a personal discipline at the end of the day.
Yes, it's about personal discipline and taking away that selfishness. And of course, people have also said government is the highest and the worst violator.
When it comes to road using?
When it comes to road use, we've abused the road. And actually, we are not the worst, but it's true. Government drivers, government officers really abuse. We are the ones who are driving on pavements.
So we hope they've been sensitized as well.
Yes. We are trying to sensitize as many. Even when we are here, government officers are also
watching.
they are also watching. They are part of the audience because they are home and they should be listening to such programs. So at the end of the day, the way the system is designed, when you violate, the ticket is going to come in the names of the owner of the vehicle. Now this is going to government. When it comes to government, that ticket is going to go to my permanent secretary. So my permanent secretary is going to determine what happens, whether they deduct my salary to pay for those violations. So if you keep on violating, remember that this is going to be taken away from your salary, because government is not going to pay for your indiscipline. And at the end of the day, even your driver's license can be suspended.
If it is repeatedly.
Not necessarily repetitive. Your accounting officer has the right to decide.
The
He has the right
punishment,
to
the
decide,
penalty to be given to you.
You can't be representing government and then you are the offender on the road. Of course, there are other questions that people have been asking. Of course, when we have jam, when lights are off, sometimes the traffic officers take charge. You say you're automating, but now when the lights are off and the traffic officer is telling, actually even sometimes when the lights are on, but the officer is managing, and he's telling me to move, when the red light is telling me
to stop,
to stay put. What happens in that case? Of course, in that scenario, the traffic officers have also been, they have been trained and they know. Now, if they, first of all, according to the law, they have the right to do that. But when you do that, communicate with the command center, such that the command center knows that you're now taking charge manually. So when you do that, you will be able to let people go. But you'll also have to stand in the middle, the center of what would have been a roundabout. So stand in the middle, such that the cameras from all directions can see that the officer is the one who is managing. So in that case, in case I am issued a ticket, as we said earlier, that when the ticket eventually comes, it will have the picture of my vehicle. It will have a picture of that area. So they will see that the officer was the one directed, and that's why there is a mechanism for appeal. But ordinarily, no ticket is supposed to be issued under those circumstances.
And how accessible is the ticket to the public? He mentioned that it will be sent to your phone.
Yes, you will receive a notification. You will first receive a notification saying,
so in case of anything, I can appeal?
Yes, you can appeal. Now, like in this kind of situation where the officer told us to leave.
Yeah, the lights are telling me something different.
Yes, and now here you're issuing me with a ticket. There is an appeal mechanism, which you talked about earlier. So you can appeal. You can go to the courts of law, and of course there will be evidence to show that you were not in violation because the officer was manually handling the situation. Yes. And then there are also issues, the other issues people have raised, that why should the violation come to me
as an individual?
Why should it come to the owners? Because remember, this ticket goes to the registered owner of the vehicle. The registered owner of the vehicle. And you find that right now, there are many people who have vehicles that have moved through a series of hands. You are a fifth owner of a vehicle.
True. Yes.
And there is this general laxity of people to complete the transactions with their former owners, to complete the transfers and all that. So now government is saying, by law, take the responsibility to transfer that vehicle into your names. Look for whoever you bought that
from the beginning.
From the beginning. In case the beginning doesn't exist, go to the courts of law, and then the courts of law will allow motor vehicle registration to now register that vehicle. So
this business of like, Susan, can I have call your car for a while?
Yes, that is still true. But you see now the beauty about that. You know, there are people who've been lending our vehicles.
Yes.
They drive, they get tickets, and they come back, they keep quiet.
I know.
Then for you, you're driving
past
Pastor Fande Kananura's colleagues. They are flagging you. They are telling you on this day you have this violation. And you're like, but I don't remember.
You can't even remember that Sandra was driving your car.
No, you were here in Kampala. You gave somebody your vehicle. You are seated in office, and the person drives all the way to Jinja. So they are giving you a ticket for Jinja. You don't remember ever going to Jinja at all. But here is a ticket that you received when you were. They're like, no. This is not true. So that is where this system is also going to do what? Is going to help. Because now when you receive that message, it will tell you even the location, the violation.
The date and time.
Yes, the date and time.
The person is
so you will know who the person was in your vehicle at that particular time. But at the end of the day, it's in lending vehicles is not bad. We have friends, and
we shall have to share.
We shall have to share. But the most important thing right now is let us transfer those vehicles into the actual owners or users, the current ones, so that these fines don't come to us.
So in case such, like we've just explained, maybe a friend of mine had the car and the very first owner is nowhere to be found from the beginning, like Susan has been explaining, tracking down. Who is the right person, the right individuals to contact in case of anything like that?
Of course, when you want to transfer your vehicle,
I don't have to call Afande Kananura.
No.
There's nothing like Gamba Nogwe.
No, now you'll have to go to motor vehicle registration. That is at URA. Those are Ministry of Works and Transport officers handling this this particular activity. So they will be able to guide you through. But as we said, if those people no longer exist, or if somebody doesn't want to transfer, but you have evidence that you actually bought this vehicle, the courts of law can force the person to transfer the vehicle into your names, or ask the Ministry of Works and Transport to actually transfer the vehicle into your names, because people are very funny sometimes.
But the public has to be rest assured it's a transparent and accuracy. There's a transparency and accuracy when it comes to the system.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. You have heard it all, and how the system operates. Actually, when this ticket comes through your phone or your email address, you are able to see, it takes clear pictures, the vehicle.
There's nothing like AI.
No. The place, they told you the place, the time, and then also the fine that you are supposed to pay, with also the PRN number. Because you are required to pay that money. She told you within 72 hours, because if you exceed that, then that attracts a surcharge of 50%.
So what role does the UPF Mobi app play in supporting the enforcement and making it easier?
Yeah, the UPF Mobi helps you to, because we use so much in this other old system that is where you can check the vehicle and you get to know whether it is demanded or it is not demanded. Only that it is only on the Android phones, not yet to the iPhone. The iPhones, I think, cannot access it, but I think it is being worked on to ensure that they can also access it. So I wouldn't like you to find that people get vehicles, buying like second-hand vehicles from other people. They are not checked. Then as they are driving, you get to them. They say, I did not know. There is a million being demanded. So it's not good. When you use the UPF Mobi, you are able to know the amount of money that is the vehicle is demanded before you buy it. And then also another thing, it's a habit that people whose vehicles, or I mean some of the vehicles in their names, you call them, because people have always come to us, you call them and say, do you demand this vehicle? I wanted a transfer. And the person is hesitant to transfer for you. He's even asking for money by the way. I'm saying, no, I don't demand anything. It is not a stolen vehicle. I have no issues. But for me to issue my passwords and to change for you, I want 100,000. So no, really, it's not necessary. We encourage people to transfer. Let these vehicles be transferred from their names. Because the system you have had, they are going to be, the ones directly going to be getting these fines. So if you sold the vehicle, then transfer it to the person who is currently driving it.
Okay, with such feedback that has been coming in, and some of the queries that you've been receiving, is there are there plans for expansion, expanding or improving the system as time goes on? Before we let you go in a few minutes, Jordan is on standby to give us the news at 10 p.m. But before we let our guests go,
of course, systems are upgraded, updated every time. New systems come into place every day, every time. So you expect the system to only get better with time. And of course, we believe that with time, you will see less of Afande Kananura's men and women in uniform on the road as the automation goes throughout the country. But our call is that we embrace a safety culture as Ugandans, and let us see the spirit behind the express penalty system as something that is here to protect us and save us from all these fatalities that are happening on our roads.
Well, Afande Kananura, something that you didn't wish to leave out for the viewer?
Yeah, when we are on these roads, let us remember that we do not drive traffic officers. We drive on these roads for our own safety, to make sure that we are safe, and also the safety of other people who are on these roads. So for those who are accustomed to speeding and running red lights, please, you have heard our message, better start changing before the system is rolled out, so that you're not caught unaware and you get these fines. So please, do what is right on the road.
Okay, I'm off to Susan. Before we let you go, a word for the viewer.
Well, one thing that we need to realize is that road safety is a shared responsibility. Government has its role to play, and you and I as road users have our roles to play. So let each one of us, let government, and let you and I also play our role, and not allow more lives to perish in such great numbers as we have right now. Otherwise, thank you for hosting us, and have a lovely night.
It's been a pleasure spending time with you. Thank you so much for making time. At the extreme end, I had Afande Kananura, Michael, and just next to me, I had Susan Kataike, who made time to come and enlighten you, or give you more insight when it comes to the EPS, that is the express penalty system that has been put in place to curb the road violations that have been ongoing. Wish you a great evening, and not forget, in a few minutes, just a few seconds, Jordan is on standby to give you news at 10 p.m. My name is Sandra Kahonde. It's been a great discussion. Thank you for always choosing the National Broadcaster, here to always inspire you. Have a great night.